I taught a 10 a.m. class. I look at my phone to make sure it's 10, and there's an email that's like, everyone's laid off, period. Like, you have no job.
Oh my. From a sign language interpreter to dark times during COVID to running one of the fastest growing aerial yoga studios in Orange County.
The only one.
The only one.
The fastest growing. The only one.
And featured in Orange County, Real Housewives of Orange County.
Yes. A very long feature.
Right.
Lots of hang time.
Taylor's story has a lot of wild leaps and big payoffs. And we even got to try doing a class together, which was amazing.
So fun.
And so let's dive in. If people are looking at you in high school, what kind of person were you?
At the beginning of high school, I was a cheerleader. I was very preppy. And I was in class office, and I was really into sign language interpreting at the time. That's where I learned sign language, was in high school. And then towards when I turned into an upperclassman, I got a job downtown, and I was really into nightlife. And I stopped cheer. I was going out every night. I was partying. I was like a club promoter for all these places. And then I got picked up on a small leg of a tour for Russ on the What They Want tour in 2016. And had to travel quite a bit. And then that actually turned me into having to take classes online for my last semester of my senior year. And my like high school graduation was in like a middle school lunchroom because I didn't technically graduate with my class. I did both, but I went from being extremely preppy cheerleader to total opposite nightlife, going out all the time, doing this tour, was really into rap music. And then only a couple of years later, I like went all the way back to what I would consider now is very much like cheerleader aesthetic.
What made you learn sign language in high school?
It was just an elective. So you got to choose between Spanish and sign language.
And most of us choose Spanish.
Yeah. And a lot of us chose sign language too, though. There was tons of people that took sign language as their elective. And then even in community college, I met dozens of people that were taking it. And a lot of people just don't go anywhere with it for some reason. But it's an incredible job. I love that job.
But yours did.
I took it a little extra far.
Yeah.
Sure.
So can we dive into that? Like, at some point, you ended up working for the government as a sign language interpreter. Can you take me through that? So
I came down to California to get an AA degree in that subject. I went to Mount SAC, and I went to Mount SAC specifically because it was a good feeder program to Cal State Northridge, which has the best program in our era for sign language interpreting. And I got so lucky. All of my instructors, my professors, just gave me so many extra opportunities. They were just throwing me into work. They were treating me like they wanted me to work immediately. And I ended up working in the field right when I graduated with my associates, even though most people get a bachelor's, especially if they know they're going to get a bachelor's. They usually wait till they have their bachelor's before they go in the field.
Yeah.
And I just am so cocky and like just act like you know what you're doing until somebody notices, right? I just applied for jobs right after I got my AA. And I got picked up by a company that was contracting for the Federal Communication Commission. So picture a deaf person's calling 911. They're not using a phone with their ears, right? They're using a video phone. And it was a company that was relaying video phone calls through an interpreter, which was myself. And I got hired for that, which was already going to be really, really, really good for me. Just so exciting that I got that job as early as I did. And then also COVID happening. So then it was online work, which was really good. And most of it was medical. So when people are in their doctor's appointment, like telehealth, I was able to interpret those appointments from home.
Sounds like a really lucrative job.
It was great. Living at home by the beach and working from home, just taking calls. I was very comfortable. And I actually was planning on doing that my whole life and retiring from it. I still think that way if I could do it. I adored that job. I love the people I work with. I love deaf people. I love the community. And that program, though, they dissolved it for people that live in California. They just emailed us one day. I remember I was teaching aerial yoga in Orange County, and open aerial was already in the works. And it was like the catalyst. I remember I was like, I taught a 10 a.m. class. I look at my phone to make sure it's 10, and there's an email that's like, everyone's laid off, period. Like, you have no job.
Oh my.
Okay, well, I'm definitely gonna have to start the studio. So I got laid off. They did offer to relocate me, and I actually almost moved to Clearwater, Florida, which I still kind of fantasize about. I really like the idea of that area.
Have you ever been there?
I haven't, but everything I've heard about Florida sounds fun. It feels like super fun. I love the heat. I don't mind humidity. It seems just like a cool place to be. I don't know. It's like they say Huntington Beach is like the Florida of California. I don't think I'd mind taking out in Florida. That sounds fun. But that was the catalyst, was deciding not to relocate. Work was going to take care of me moving and letting me keep my salary and living in Florida, which would have been cool because I was going to be able to keep my hourly rate and live in a lower cost living place. Mm-hmm. But I felt like Open Aerial, it needed to open. So, and that was before this big Asia trip I took, and I was gone for a while. And I remember I was in the airport. I was flying from LAX to Tokyo with my family, and I texted the owner of the aerial yoga studio that I'd previously worked at in Seattle. And she was my mentor for a lot of things because I helped her with her retreats and teacher trainings and stuff. And I was like, I just got laid off from my job and I'm opening a studio in Orange County. Got any tips? And she happened to, I didn't know as much about it because I was employed by her and it wasn't my role or relationship with her at the time. But turns out her studio was a pretty small leg of what she did for a living. And most of it was consulting and helping other people open studios, which was very convenient for me. So she sends me a website with this whole consulting layout, and she was the one who really helped me get that idea off the ground.
Wow. Yeah. So if we're taking this step by step, right? So you have a lucrative job. 2020 happens. You're like, this is not too bad.
And I had to move to Seattle. That was crazy. So I was already living. I had my own place with all my friends. Didn't live with my parents. And I had already lived independently with my friends. In California,
okay,
which I love. I'm like such a California girl. And 2020 happens, and I had to go back, move into my parents' house in Seattle, and I was there for over a year. So all of 2020 into 2021 at least. I went back and forth quite a few times.
So one of the craziest parts that I think is, if people are hearing this story, they're like, okay, so she moved back to Seattle, was teaching some classes, and then was like, hey, I want to open up aerial yoga in California, specifically in Huntington Beach. People would look at that and say, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. But people don't understand how dramatic that is, right? Like most people that get laid off, the very first thing they think about is, I need to get another job.
Yeah.
Right? You decided, no, I don't want another job. How did you process that? How did you come to the conclusion that this is it? I'm done.
I had been planning it in the back end for a long time. So I was being very wise with my finances. I was building a big nest egg. I had a business plan. I already had even like our Instagram, our logo, and it was more of a personal brand. And we got our name by accident. So I never had to name Open Aerial. It was already named. I never sat down and called it Open Aerial. It was like automatic. So when I moved to Seattle, I bought an outdoor rig. Like I have this A-frame that you can put one hammock on. And that was just because the studios were literally closed. I couldn't go anywhere. And then I was taking it to beaches and parks or even my backyard, inviting my friends and family to practice with me. And if you remember during COVID, when you did something outside that didn't used to be outside before COVID, they called it open air, like an open air meeting, open air dining.
Yeah.
So we called it open air aerial yoga. And then Open Aerial colloquially just stuck. And then I just started calling it Open Aerial. And then I found a cool font on Canva that looked really good when you typed Open Aerial and I put a cloud around it. And then I already had a separate aerial account for talking about teaching and taking aerial classes just because it was my favorite hobby. And then I just changed that username to Open Aerial. And the name just stuck. And then when it got time to sit down and make a formal formation of a company and get an LLC, it was just Open Aerial.
How did you go through that process? Like, have you ever opened up a business before?
Yeah. So I actually did, when I lived in Seattle, I was working my interpreting job and so in California, if you are a deaf person and you go to a doctor's appointment, 9 times out of 10, it's being paid for by the government or the facility. Rarely private pays an interpreter based on the jobs that I was taking. But I was also taking more government-y jobs anyway, so that was just what I was seeing. I go to Seattle and it's like mostly private companies I was finding. And I was like, oh, well, if anyone can just make an agency around here, I'll just do that. So I called that MediTerp because it was focused on medical assignments. That's my favorite. It's medical assignments. So MediTerp, medical interpreters. And I had this whole photo shoot with like my hands like this with gloves on. I made a website and I made an LLC. And I had a whole software that was really expensive to schedule everything. And the cool thing about interpreting was that I had a really flexible schedule even at my main employment. And then I could pick up contract work anywhere else. Like I actually still get emails every single day on my personal email from all the agencies around here. But I had like just started building momentum with that and getting enough work that every once in a while there would also be work that I couldn't do. And I would just text my friends from work and they would be able to take the job. And I know that could have done extremely well. Like if I wanted to live in Seattle and I didn't get this wild idea of entrepreneurial and I didn't feel like it had to be at the beach and I didn't want to live in Newport as bad as I do, that would have done really well. I know it would have. It did really well, really fast. And then when I moved, every time I kept the software open for a long time. And every time I got a hit from that, I would just ask my interpreting friends in Seattle, like, hey, do you want this gig? I'll just like give you the contract.
I still don't understand. Like I'm hearing you and I'm like, wait a second. Okay. So she has an entrepreneur mindset and this interpreter concierge basically could have taken off a lot faster, a lot quicker. And
yeah, no, honestly, if there's any interpreters in Seattle, they should do that. They should take my idea and do that. It would have been awesome.
So then my next question to that is like, what made you say, nope, this is not it still?
I really wanted to live in Newport. I had this thing in me. I just like, oh my God, I felt like moving Newport would just solve all my problems and just exponentially improve my life, which it did. Things are going very well. I am happy to report back. Things are going very well over here in Orange County. But also my main gig with that company that was doing the video calls, during COVID, they let a lot more people work from home. And that's when I was like, ooh, I'm going to work from home so I can move to Newport and work wherever I want, which was Newport at the time. So yeah, I loved it. I still I wish I could interpret more. And like I said, I still have the opportunities. They still send me work all the time. And if I got an assignment that I just absolutely was excited about and really wanted to do, like a fun event, or I live right next to Hoag Hospital. And every once in a while, they're like really aching for some gigs in my area. I would still love to take it. And I'm still very fluent in sign. Like I still hang out with some friends at sign and from college. So
oh, really?
I know I could do it. But it just got to this point where, and this is something that I heard other people say for years, and it didn't make sense until it happened to me, but trading time for money is a completely different lifestyle than owning a business, any kind of business, or even having a job that isn't time for money if you structure it the right way, if you're an independent contractor for somebody doing something. But I never had like a last day at work. And even me speaking about being laid off wasn't my last day. It was just turned into having like very steady work to being an independent contractor for 10 different places at once. And I would have days where I interpreted in LA and San Diego in the same day and just put so many miles on my car. It was like driving all over the place all day. Instead of feeling like I had a last day at work, I felt like it was more of a story of having first. So it was the first time the studio was doing well enough to where my personal rent was due and there was enough in there. And it was the first certain financial milestones, the first teacher training I ran where I was amazed that all my friends that took my teacher training wanted to teach for me and they were doing amazing and they were already ready to work without me. And it was a story of a lot of firsts. And then by the time I realized I had stopped working, it had already been a couple months before I even realized it because it was a very slow transition. And to date, I haven't picked up a shift at my day job since last year.
Oh, wow. Now, I'm still trying to find the part where we were talking about and you're like, dude, I was broke. I was broke.
Yeah, when I moved into my apartment in Newport, my dad even had to be a co-signer on the apartment. Like okay. I had no... Well, so I had opportunities as an interpreter, so they were moving my gig. And there was a lot of time in between like moving offices, I guess. And then I was the freshman, I was the new interpreter down here. So I was doing a lot of one-off jobs, a lot of contracting jobs.
This is post-COVID?
Yes.
So this is your second time around coming to California.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could say the second. I've been back and forth so many times, especially during COVID. Because remember, the first lockdown was supposed to be 2 weeks, right? So
Right.
I'd go to Seattle. I'd like fly there and leave my car here. And they'd be like 2 weeks. And then it'd be like 2 months later, I'd be like, I'll go get my car and then bring it back to Seattle. And they'd be like, no, you can come back. And I'd come back. It was like, oh my gosh, it was all over so much. But yeah, no, definitely majorly broke. I have pictures of me. My friend helped me move into my apartment in Newport. And we have pictures of me like on the ground with no bed. Only for like a night.
Okay.
Only for like a night. And then we went and got a bed from Walmart. Bed in a bag from Walmart saved me back then. But yeah, no, it was harder to find work. And I moved here and was in between agencies and just getting my foot back in the door with places. And yeah, but then once I got back on my feet and got the steady gig, which was allowing me to work from home in the apartment, which took forever, by the way, like months. I don't know why it took so long to onboard me. That's when I did definitely start getting really smart with putting my finances away and was able to open the studio with that. I actually am really proud to say that I didn't end up having to take on any debt even to open the studio.
Really?
I got really lucky in a lot of different ways. The capital I had at first, I thought I got pre-approved for a pretty large SBA loan. And looking back, this probably would have been a good idea, but I was going to keep my personal life savings and then finance it through the company and its analysis. So I could set it up in a way that it would have been very separate from me as a person. And I decided to just go all in and not take on any large amounts of debt. And I just kept getting really lucky.
So let's talk about that part. You're in Newport. You start shopping around for places. How long did it take you to find the place in Huntington Beach?
Like 2 years. I was looking for a long time. So right when I moved here, like again, I already had the social media presence and I was teaching and hosting retreats with a company called Flight Room that I still am like this with the owners of it. We talk all the time. So I was just an aerial yoga teacher over there in Seattle. And then right when COVID was ending, I did their teacher training because it was in Mexico. And everything was closed in the States, including the studio. But then they were like, hey, we can like fly over to Mexico and do aerial yoga. So I did their teacher training there, and I was not planning on teaching at all. Like that was the farthest thing from my mind when I did teacher training. But then after you do a teacher training, you do community classes and you get to know everybody. And then if you do well, they invite you to be on the schedule. And thank goodness that happened to me. But I was already teaching aerial yoga and had a following on social media pretty quickly. I think people could just see that I was so extremely passionate about it. Like I was taking 3 classes a day. It was all I talked about. Like I was such a major fangirl for this place. And because of that, I did have a really good foundation is what I'm saying. So again, like the name, the logo, all these like first steps were already there. And then I kind of started calling when I would just see signs for lease. And I was like, why am I not getting a call back? So it turns out renting a commercial property is nothing like an apartment. You don't just like meet the landlord and give them first month and last month's and deposit and move in. It is not what happened with commercial properties at all. Yeah. But I didn't know that. So I'm like, why is no one calling me back? At this point, I'm like 24, 25. I'm like, why would someone call me back? I'm like, hey, I'm 24 and I have a day job, but I want a yoga studio. Like, yeah, you and everybody else, right? So then I went to this networking event, and that was another thing was I would just go to networking events with a business card that said Open Aerial on it and be like, I'm going to open an aerial yoga studio. Like, I don't have it yet, but I'm gonna. And looking back, that's very, very ballsy, but I'm glad I did it. It took a lot of confidence to do that for sure.
How do you find these networking events? Like what?
I love networking events.
I'm
like obsessed with them.
I always like to ask this to other entrepreneurs as well, is that like when you go to networking events, 5 out of 10 of them are complete BS.
Yeah, no, I get that. You have to scope them out for sure.
How do you scope them out?
I mean, sometimes I'm not very good at scoping them out. Sometimes you go there and it's a lot of like, I don't know, like multi-level marketing, a lot of real estate agents talking about the same thing, and which is fine. I'm not looking for a house. Right. So sometimes that's not something I feel like I need a referral for all the time. But it's funny because I say that. That's like a joke I like to make. But I did meet my commercial real estate agent at a networking event. So that was a very high return on investment for talking to a real estate agent then.
Yeah.
I really like Alec Mountain throws a really good one. It's called Orange County Startups and Growth. And that draws a really, really good crowd. Yeah. Like his strategy for those events are amazing. And every time I go there, I meet awesome people. Like, and then those are cool too, because a lot of the same people do go. He has like a really good foundation of regulars. Okay. And a couple people will text me like when the next one is. It's usually
It's like on a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get emails
Usually
from
Wednesday
him.
nights. Wednesday nights are great for work stuff.
Okay.
For networking. Like it's hump day and it's like you want to do something fun after work, but it's still professional. Wednesday's a good day.
Okay.
Wednesday's a good day. So I really like Alec Mountains. And then I am a huge Chamber of Commerce nerd. And it happened so fast. I don't know what happened. I like my first Chamber of Commerce meeting.
Yeah.
I was like, I love this. I want to be in charge of everything. I want to go to ribbon cuttings. And then they did their ribbon cutting with us. And I was like, I want to help other people with this. And anytime a business opens in Huntington Beach, I'm so excited. Even if it has nothing to do with me, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to the ribbon cutting. I'm going to meet the owner and they're going to be my new best friend. It's so fun. So yeah, I like the Chamber. Networking. So for what I do for the studio, it's really important that networking is done as close to the studio as possible. Same with marketing, like even one zip code away for group fitness. We're looking for people that want the studio to be a part. We call it like a third place, like in between work and home. Where do you go and hang out with your friends and do something you enjoy?
Right.
We want them to come like pretty much every day, right? So it really makes sense for me to network and market only where the studio is, which is Huntington Beach. So that's why the Chamber of Commerce is really effective for me. And I always say too, when you go to a networking event, I don't go to networking events and tell people to try aerial yoga, right? I'm not like, hey, you should do aerial yoga and buy a class from me. That's like not what networking is about at all, right? I like to go and meet other business owners so we can talk about what's working, what's not, strategies. I love talking about marketing. I am a digital marketing genius, like especially meta ads. Oh my God, I could just talk about them nonstop. And I just love hearing like the exact return on investment they're getting, and return on ad spend, and like exactly the cost per lead. Like I want to hear everything. It's so fun for me. And I'm really into web design as well, and marketing funnels, like making a landing page work. And like you can change just a couple really small things that'll end up making 100 people going to your page and no one buying, or 100 people going to your page and 30 buying. And I love to talk about it so much. Sometimes at networking events, I meet other people that are geeked out about that too, and it's fun. Or I meet people who aren't, and they want to learn about it, and they're really happy to listen to me talk about it.
Absolutely.
So at networking events, I don't usually find myself again being like, you should come do aerial yoga. But it's really like, what are we doing marketing wise, social media wise? And then I like to bring I have that physical A-frame hammock that I bought during COVID. Probably the biggest return on investment thing I've ever bought in my life. I still bring it places. I was at the Taste of Huntington Beach yesterday. So that's a good example of Taste of Huntington Beach is put on by the Chamber of Commerce, and it's in Huntington Beach, just a couple miles from the studio.
Right.
And they sold like 750 tickets. So 750 people that live this close to Huntington Beach, and they walk by the hammock and they're like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to try that. And my favorite is when they're like, I know exactly where your studio is. I know what it's called. I know a lot of people that have been there. Or when people are like, oh, I've already been here a few times.
Yeah.
And then having that personal connection with people in person is really important. So like the boots on the ground marketing is so much more valuable than like anyone can run an ad on social media.
Right.
Anyone can get followers, whatever. Anyone can pay someone to make a really pretty website for them. Anyone can have a really nice photo shoot in their studio, whatever. But being willing to like stand out in the sun for 8 hours at a community event and lead with value and offer every single person to try aerial yoga, no strings attached, and just let them feel really good and happy, and then let them know that the studio exists if they want to come back. That is one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
Yes, very good use of our time.
When you're looking for this first lease, it seems like every time I speak to you, it's like you're ready to go full headstrong. Like, it seems like you just don't have any self-doubt. Right? From the conversations that we've had and when we took the class with you, you're very like balls to the wall.
Yeah.
I'm going to dive in.
Always figure it out.
Right. And always figure it out. And so one question I have before we start like talking about the lease, have you ever had like self-doubt when going through this process?
I actually wrote my undergraduate thesis on imposter syndrome, which is funny because I did not have imposter syndrome for interpreting. I just knew that I could get a lot of primary sources to write that paper to graduate. So there's a little bit of strategy there. But so writing that paper, I did learn a lot about imposter syndrome and the science behind it, which is like what you're saying, self-doubt, being like, oh, I'm not this person that other people think I am. And I think, so you're asking imposter syndrome like with the studio?
There's three characters that I see, and maybe ties into your thesis, right? One character I see that's over gloating, right? That says like, let's point out a real estate agent, because they'll fill in all three of those gaps, right? You have the real estate agent, right, who hasn't sold anything, who says, dude, I can sell millions of homes. I'm that guy. I'm him. But you have nothing to back for it, right? You have the other person who maybe is just starting out. It's like, wow, this is really daunting, because like all of these people around me do very well. And I don't know if I can amount to like these people that are just doing well. Like, why would you go with me if you can go with yourself or David or whoever it may be, right? So it's like, oh, okay, like I don't think I'm good enough. Then the third one is like the silent killer, right? Who's just like knows their worth, knows how much they're selling, and they stay in their lane. They don't care to sell more, they don't care to sell less, they stay in their lane, right? Again, mentioning all three of those people, when you're starting a business, you're like, well, I don't want to be the cocky guy. Like, I have everything, but I also don't know if I can do this, right? Which comes into this imposter syndrome, right? So my question is like, through this process, what did self-doubt look for you? Was it even considered, or was like, because of your thesis, you're like, hey, listen, I don't even consider it.
No, I think I was blindly naive when I opened the studio, because looking back, there's a lot I could have done to have a way bigger launch. And I got so lucky that people were just so excited to have an aerial yoga studio in town at all, that it very organically was a really, really strong start from the beginning. And knowing what I know now, if I was going to have a second location, or if it was going to help someone else open a first or second location, I would have a huge founding memberships campaign and all these things. And I would have done it so much differently. But when the studio opened, I think I was very naively confident. Yeah. I don't think I felt very much imposter syndrome. I think one thing that did, when we first opened and class sizes were smaller, I felt embarrassment. I felt like if people would come to class and the class's attendance was low, I'd be embarrassed, or that the teacher would think it's awkward. And now it's pretty rare that we have low attendance now, just because we've been open for a while and things are going really well. But it's also summer and things are seasonal, and the class sizes can be lower in the summer. People are spending more time outside. They're out of town, spending time with their friends and family. And that definitely does not bother me anymore at all. We're a membership-based studio, so smaller class sizes don't mean a financial loss for our studio, because everything is on, again, it's membership, monthly recurring revenue is the business model it is. But that was one thing. Again, like, I felt a little self-conscious if our class sizes were small when we first opened. And I had so many friends. I'd be like, oh my God, there's only 2 people signed up for class. Will you take my class tonight? And they would all run over and take my class, which I really appreciated.
Any certificates that, like, if someone wants to get into aerial yoga, they would need to take?
You would take my teacher training. We have teacher training coming up in October. We are one of the only places to do an aerial yoga teacher training in the area. Definitely Orange County, as far as the depth, especially, that we go into. And I don't want to say no one is doing aerial yoga teacher trainings. There's a couple of them, and I'm all friends with them. I'm very proud of that. I'm very good friends with everyone around here. Ours is 50 hours. It's 4 weekends long. We're typically seeing a lot shorter teacher trainings with other places. My teacher training is so detailed because at least right now, this could totally change. I generally want people to teach at my studio, ideally, from my teacher training. So employment's, of course, not guaranteed. That'd be impossible. But when people graduate from my teacher training, I want them to be able to teach my signature class. Ideally, if the relationship is okay, we could have an employee-employer relationship. But a lot of studios will crank a teacher training out because it can be a really high return on investment, especially if the owner is running it. And I see, especially for aerial yoga, a lot of very short teacher trainings, and not just down here, but just like all over the country. And I really want people to be able to teach aerial yoga by the time they graduate from mine. I want them to, again, teach we have a very particular signature class with a lot of signature parts of the class. And I would definitely recommend our teacher training for anyone that's looking to teach aerial yoga, whether it's at our studio or like you're saying, if they wanted to bring it somewhere else, then I'd be a great person to talk to.
I think I'm proud to say that we might have tried some of those signature moves.
Yeah, you guys did great.
All right, so let's have a little bit more real talk. When it comes to like financial, all your finances in the studio, what was the hardest part of your finances when it came to the studio?
Opening was a lot more expensive than I ever thought. Even though like I said, I got very lucky with a few things. I'll just never forget, everything was so much more expensive than you'd ever imagine. And it actually, to this day, like what did I just buy? We bought a desk, a TV. I had to put technology into the new front desk because we just hired a front desk sales team. And things are always breaking. You need to replace them. Our hammocks, we go through hammocks like toilet paper in there because we have baby pink hammocks. And even just makeup will get on it, even if it's like a spray tan. If people do not take off their jewelry, it will rip the hammock. People's nails rip the hammock. So that's more expensive. And then also payroll. So when I actually remember the first time payroll cost more than our rent. And I was like, oh my God, I thought rent, like nothing could be more expensive than rent. Rent is like crazy.
Yeah.
And then like the first month payroll was even more than rent. I was like, oh my God. And then again, we just hired front desk sales team. So it's been a huge adjustment on my end. But the way I like to think about that, the payroll specifically, and I actually didn't think I was ever going to have payroll. So I don't know why. Again, so naive. I had no idea what I was doing, even though I had so much help. I opened with like no teachers. Like I thought I was just going to teach 7 days a week.
Right.
Forever. What? That makes no sense. And I guess some people do have like an era of their life where they do just want to teach yoga and Pilates every day. And thank God there's a lot of people that are always doing that, because that's why we get to have these amazing classes at all these studios. And I was in that era of my life when we opened. But I'm really grateful that I was proactive to hire people before I slipped out of that. And now I do have my own classes on the schedule at the studio. And then I, of course, sub pretty often. And I do a lot of our private parties and events, including the Real Housewives of Orange County. And I very slowly added payroll, but it was literally not in my business plan. Like I did not even budget for payroll because for some reason I thought it would only ever have like a morning and an evening class and I would just do all of it. Until I got really into marketing and I realized that marketing was more than a full-time job. It's actually more than a full-time job in the sense that even if I'm working on our marketing full-time, I even just hired some help with that as well because it is truly more than a full-time job. So that goes into the realization that teaching all the time is actually not what's going to help the business thrive and be a place that people can come be their third place and have the foundation, the structure it needs to be a viable business model and stay open. Me teaching every single class didn't end up making that work, which I had to learn along the way. So that was hiring teachers and hosting teacher trainings.
But did that even occur to you, like, to grow the business?
It didn't. No, not at first. That's what's so crazy, especially because it's doing so well and it is growing so fast.
Right.
Because at the beginning, I didn't even try. I was so naive. I was just like, man, there's not an aerial yoga studio around here. I'm going to open one. I'm going to make everything pink. And all I need to do is make posts on Instagram and people will come. And they did, which is crazy. But now it's so fun to build a team. And my teachers are also amazing. I was actually just telling them recently, we have no issues with scheduling or needing subs. Every other studio I've worked at and all the studios that like my girls that work for me also work at, it's a huge pain in the butt to find subs. And the schedule's crazy because all these girls work like a 1 hour shift at a time or 1.5 hour shift at a time and moving around. Our teachers, they love what they do. They come in, they teach a few classes in a row. They never call out unless it's a total emergency. We have no staffing issues. We have amazing retention. The only time people have ever left my studio has been if they literally moved out of state.
Yeah.
Like something took them. No one's ever been like, hey, I don't want to work here anymore. Thank God. And that's because I do, oh my gosh, that's because I do hire very slow. And I really go for personality and people I really like. And I'm willing to spend a lot of extra time with people to train them. So sometimes I get emails from people that are like, hey, I used to teach aerial yoga in the middle of nowhere and I just moved to Orange County. Are you hiring? And I'm like, oh, we could always use some more teachers. But I would rather take someone who's never taught aerial yoga before and train the heck out of them for months and put them on the schedule than have someone like come that's not all the way into our studio culture is really important. And most yoga and Pilates studio culture is really important. And it's not an exclusive thing. It's an inclusive thing. It's like we have a special way we do things, and we want someone, like when I look at employment, I want someone that found out the studio existed and was so excited they came in. Like the first time I tried aerial yoga, I was like, the second I found out it existed, I was just there and then I never left. Like I want someone that was that excited about open aerial from the second they knew we existed.
Yeah.
I want to hire that person before, again, like a total stranger, teacher wise. That's been my strategy. And that's why, again, we have amazing retention. Our team is amazing. I love all of them so much.
How do you decide like what opportunities to say yes to and no to?
That's a good question.
Your yoga studio.
That's been coming up a lot. So when it comes to my time, like I mentioned earlier, I found that things that are like the closer to the studio, the better. So networking events. I was actually just speaking with, there's this coach that I really admire, Kayla Horley. I'll give her a shout out. I really like what she's offering, and her networking groups are amazing. Like you're saying, like, how do you know if a networking group is bullcrap or not? Hers are amazing. We just had this one on a yacht. It was so much fun. It was all girls. It was awesome. She's all the way in somewhere in South County. And I was just telling her, like, girl, I love what you're doing. And anytime you're on that yacht in Newport, I'll walk over there, but I'm not going to South County to do networking event because that's just not where I'm at right now. So keeping things hyper local, and then opportunities in the studio. So what comes up a lot is groups of either like influencers or groups of women who get together and do like wellnessy stuff, or mom groups will ask to do a free class at the studio in exchange for content for social media. And at the beginning, it's funny, I had a chip on my shoulder about that. For some reason, that really bothered me when people would ask me for free stuff. I'd be like, I'm better than free stuff. You guys need to book a class. But honestly, stuff like that works. And it's boots on the ground marketing, like I said earlier, meeting people in real life and giving them a genuine experience and not expecting anything in return is the best thing you can do. So I changed my mindset somewhere along the way from being like, no, I'm not going to do a crazy free class for you guys, to if it's the right fit. So not anyone, obviously it has to be like a very good fit.
Right.
There's been a handful of groups where, they're teaching yoga or Pilates somewhere else and they have a community of students that they want to come into the studio. We'll have that teacher do a fun mat yoga or Pilates, warm up with them, and then I'll teach them how to go up, sit down in the hammocks and take a bunch of fun pictures and videos.
Yeah.
And I found that usually if there's a group I want to work with, I do reach out to them. I have a running list on my computer. It's actually a spreadsheet. I'm very type A, if you haven't noticed. And if I've reached out to them, if they said yes or no, if I'm still waiting, if not, I'll message them a few times. That's okay. They always get back to me. Sometimes if someone does reach out to me, and if it is a no, I'm still very polite. Like, hey, I don't think I'm able to, close the studio for a couple hours to give you a private party, but here's a pass to come in for another class.
Yeah.
And I have been able to have the opportunity to say no to a couple things recently, and it's never any hard feelings, but sometimes it is tough. I'm trying to have better boundaries with work too. So I'm a super early riser. If I'm waking up at 5 a.m. Monday through Friday, it's really hard for me to also go to the studio on the weekend and host all these huge free private events for content.
Yeah.
But I also, again, I thought at the beginning, I felt like that wasn't a fair trade, but it can be. Like if the right person, again, if their following's in Huntington Beach, if their following is even 2 cities over, if they're in Irvine, it doesn't matter because people aren't going to get a membership at Open Air that live in Irvine. I mean, we have a couple, but we want people that are going to be part of our community. We have a limited capacity, right? It's equipment-based studio similar to Reformer Pilates. That's why the cost is higher, because we have to use equipment. So we can only fit a certain amount of students in the space. Mat yoga, we could fit 40 mats in our studio, but we only fit 13 hammocks.
Right.
So we can be so community and membership based, because if we weren't, our classes would just be stupid waitlisted, hard to get into all the time.
Yeah.
If I let the reins too loose. But for the right person, like content is really valuable. And I actually have so much respect for people that make content online for a living, because there can be a lot of really good opportunities. One of my friends, Kyle Lamb, he's really well known for his sound healing events. And even him, we do collaborate in person on events often. He rents our studio out for his very famous sound baths. And then he lets me bring my portable hammock that I keep talking about to his events just to introduce myself to people and let them know about his next event at our studio. But even him tagging me in something because his followers are in the same area as me is huge because it's local followers. So you will never catch me making fun of an influencer. I think what they do is really important. It really is. And if it gets local eyes on our classes, then I'm always really grateful for it.
How did you advertise when your very first class?
I had a Meta account. Like I knew ads existed. And the consultant I was working with that, I remember she was like, oh, you should do an awareness campaign. And just like, and I remember we just didn't do a lot with the ad. Like we like shared our screen and she was like, post this. And I didn't understand how it worked.
Yeah.
So that was part of it. I mean, the bulk of it was my boots on the ground work in the community. I had an email list of 500 people already. So that was where our founding members came from, was the people I had already met, whether it was other studios. They had followed me on social media organically, just from seeing me in the community, or actually getting their email address when I would bring my hammock to places. So most of them was people I already knew. I already had my own community of students before I opened. And then experimenting with meta ads and everything. But what really changed is when, again, like there was just this season last year where I got so into marketing and I just took every course and getting all these consulting containers. And oh my God, it was so fun to learn. And now it feels like a game. I always compare it to gambling. It's like, it's like a slot machine. And it's like, you can learn from other people how to do it.
Right.
And then do it. And then it works. And then your business is humming. And it's the most satisfying thing ever. I love it.
Yeah, some people would say like, they would say that some people provide help, but it's not really helpful. So how did you find these consultants and people that were willing to help you and show you the ropes?
So my first one was my boss. So I was teaching aerial yoga for her. And when I let her know that I was ready to branch off and open my own studio, she had an offer. She had some website I didn't know about. And it was like, give me this many dollars and I will help you open a studio. And then my second one was just through Facebook groups. I love Facebook groups. I'm in every yoga studio owner Facebook group. I love answering people's questions. And on Reddit, like if I know the answer to something, I am so excited to tell somebody. Like, because when I was first starting and I felt like I was just asking Reddit, Facebook, ChatGPT, oh my gosh, for everything, I was like, why won't someone just tell me the answer? Like literally telling me how to do this will not affect your yoga studio.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
Like, literally never. Like, why do people not get that?
And even if it did, it's not going to take away from the piece of the pie.
It doesn't. It literally doesn't. Like, definitely, like, the smaller the radius gets, the more you could argue. But like in reality, like if we're on Facebook and I'm asking a question of like, hey, like I just opened my studio and I have no idea what my intro offer should be. Like, why would you not help me? So I love helping people, stuff like that. I have meetings with strangers all the time online. Like, hey, you had this question. I know the answer. You want to hop on Zoom and I'll show you exactly what I do and log into our CRM and I'll show you I even let people use our pictures for stuff sometimes. Like other aerial yoga studios contact me pretty often with help. And I'm like, you use this picture of my studio for your ad. Like I literally don't care. I already built mine. It looks great. This ad works here. Let's see if it works over there.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of help from Facebook groups. And yeah, I'll usually coaching and consulting containers are usually a few months long. It's usually kind of higher ticket stuff. It'll usually be like a course that you get. So what we're seeing right now is you buy a course from someone who's already done what you're looking to do, and they give you all the information you could ever need. And then on top of that, there's usually a Facebook group or community on school. And then you also get access to them in group coaching calls, which are like the light of my life right now. Like right now, I still do yoga and Pilates every single day. It's a huge part of my life. But that feeling of when I had first found yoga and Pilates, I have that right now with like the community of studio owners that I talk to all the time.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing I'll get close to coworkers in this line of work. I have my team, of course, who I love, but their role is different than mine. And there's certain things that just wouldn't resonate with the team as much as it does with me when it comes to the ownership roles.
Right.
And yeah, just networking in those groups has been incredible. Helping people in those groups. If for some reason I took something that our coach or consultant was teaching us and it worked really well for me, like also just showing them exactly what I do. I've made PowerPoints for people, and again, sharing my screen on Zoom with them, helping them with anything. But That's something I'm really into right now, is helping other studio owners. It's been really fun for me.
May you continue to help people, because God knows, like, there's a project that I have on the side right now outside of this, and trying to find people that have done it. And sometimes they'll be like, oh, it's $1,800 for our course. I'm like, am I about to really spend $1,800?
I've spent way more than that.
And I just like, I'm always thinking, I'm like, bro, what if I get bamboozled?
Yeah, well, that is true. Some industries are worse than others, right? So if you just Google like how to start a business tomorrow, like the classic ones are like pressure washing, go door to door and offer to pressure wash things, or different industries are more known for having like kind of scummy people like that. I think you should be able to tell pretty soon, though.
Okay.
I think you'd be able to tell. Like if someone's like really hitting a lick on you, I think you would be able to tell pretty early. At least I can tell and with yoga and Pilates, it is pretty bad, because it's pretty common dream for any yoga or Pilates teacher. Everyone in the back of their head's like, well, if I had a studio, I would do it like this, and we'd be like this, with this. So it's definitely pretty easy to capitalize on that if you are that kind of a, not like fake, but like just like a not leading with love or leading with value kind of coach or consultant. I could see how it'd be really easy to find people like that.
Yeah.
But I've had pretty good luck. I've loved everyone I've worked with, and I just graduated from my 3rd consulting round with a person I like. But what I've liked lately too is taking a break from that, because it's kind of like ChatGPT. You're just like asking it everything. For a while, I felt like before I made any decision in my business, I had to ask them, because I'm also paying for it.
Yeah.
And I had to ask every studio owner I knew, is this going to work? Does this make sense for work? And now I'm just like, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it, because I know how everything works now. So I used to not know how things worked. So I like on like a meta sense, and I felt like I had to ask for help all the time. And now, because I just know how consumer behavior works when it comes to marketing, I know how to get it done without having to ask someone all the time. And that doesn't mean I'm not still really close with other studio owners and asking for help all the time, because I totally am. But at least right now, it doesn't look like having a specific consultant I'm working with all the time. It just feels more lateral to me, like I'm working with my peers.
Why pink hammocks?
The pink hammocks make a really big difference.
Yes, they do.
Because if we had black hammocks in there, which I wish, but like if I could get away with that without a mutiny, that would be great, because those would be way easier to take care of. That's my favorite color. It's my aesthetic. I've had my aura red. That's the color of my aura. Ballerina slipper pink. That's me.
Okay.
And it's not a Barbie pink. It's a natural soft pink.
Yeah.
You know,
it's very aesthetically pleasing.
It is. And there's just something about that color of hammock. I hung a hammock in my apartment, like right when I tried aerial yoga years and years ago, like before COVID. And I just remember I was like, I have to find the specific color. And there's only like a special place that makes that color, and you have to buy a ton at once. It's like a studio, like they sell you like 20 of them for a studio. But I got one from a friend, and I just, it has to be pink. I can't explain it. And then even our logo and our font, it looks the best in pink. I can't explain it. Like that color, it just works. But I would never recommend someone to do pink as a brand color, because it's really hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
And it can get really tacky really fast. Like because the hammocks are pink, nothing else can be pink. It would be way too pink.
Yeah.
So in like my dream world, I would have a studio where everything was black. And then I guess we would need to lint roll things. But right now, man, everything in the studio is white and baby pink.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of girls with a lot of makeup. And so we have in-unit laundry. We wash the hammocks in between every single shift. We go around and check the hammocks for those. But open aerial has to be pink. I can't explain it. It's the pink, it's the cloud, it's rainbows and butterflies and hearts. It's always been that. It just has to be.
I would be remiss if we did not talk about how you were featured in Real Housewives of Orange County.
Yes, for 3 minutes straight. I got a lot of hang time. They loved us. That was very unexpected.
How did that come to be?
So they contacted me. A lot of people have asked me how I got on, as if like I asked them. No, they asked me.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows about Open Aerial in Huntington Beach. We are legends. And because of my amazing digital marketing skills, you can't miss us.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was bound to happen. Like when they
Okay.
first called me, I did kind of think it was a scam because when you own any kind of business that has a Google My Business profile, like bots are just like scamming all the time. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. You produce Real Housewives. Like, sure. What do you want? My checking account routing number too? Right? I've seen this before. But no, they hit me up and the producer's like, hey, no, like I'm just local and I love your studio. If the ladies were to come in here, would you mind if we filmed it? I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. We were scheduled a couple times. And then I, of course, like one of the only times I ever go out of town ever since the studio opened. I was in Las Vegas at the Sphere, which is amazing. I saw the EDM Anima show. It was amazing. I find out like last minute that they want to film the next day. And I had to like redo my flights. It was a whole mess. I went straight from the airport to the studio. And I didn't.
You were teaching the class.
Yeah, it was me and Natalie. I taught the yoga part of the class, and Natalie, we did a little sound bath for them just as a fun little addition to show them how that was. And yeah, no, the crew was amazing. They loved it. It was like you guys the other day. Like it just felt like we were hanging out with our friends, and it was all gentlemen too. It was mostly a team of gentlemen. Like the cast was women, but most of the crew was gentlemen, besides a couple ladies. And they just loved it. We could not get them out of the hammocks. They were swinging around. They loved being in Shavasana. They loved their little cocoon. They were like, oh, I feel like I'm in my mom's womb. This is so fun. And so we did the class, and it was a real class. Like the ladies actually wanted to try open aerial. They had heard of it. Again, we're local. I mean, like we have a spot on beach in Main Street, Huntington Beach. 65,000 cars pass a day. We have a huge sign with an aerialist on it. It's me.
Yeah.
Let's picture somebody up there. They just know. And our social media presence is amazing. And we have a lot of organic social media presence. People are taking pictures and videos that have actually been to our class that are actually local. So it just happened really organically. So they came in organically. It didn't necessarily need to be like for the show, but it was something they were doing and it was filming season. So they booked a private party and we did a private class for them in the Sound Bowls. And we had so much fun. I love Shannon Bedore. And we actually already have a couple of mutual friends. So I have not met her in person, but I felt like I just knew so much of her, not just TV necessarily. So it was really fun. Like she came in and I just felt like I already knew her and she was really fun. And she loves Diet Cokes. We were joking about Diet Coke. We were chugging Diet Cokes. And I just really felt a connection with her. I really like her.
Yeah.
And I wasn't super into the show previously. Not that my screen time's not like 10 hours a day. It's just short form content, not long form content. But that show wasn't something that I was looking at all the time. But now we were on it. So we were episode 4.
Yeah.
I was at the edge of my seat up until episode 4 because we signed an NDA that we couldn't tell anyone we were on the show until it aired. But then I made such good friends with the producers that we were like this. So they're like emailing me and calling me all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, we're putting your episode together. We're using so much of it. You're going to be on here so much. And I'm like, what? Like I didn't, because they said we can't even guarantee you'll be on there at all. So it gets close to the date. They tell me the date our episode's going to air. I schedule a watch party a couple days later. And so technically the NDA was like, you can't say you're on the show until it airs. It's like the second it aired, July 31st, the second it aired, I had like this whole party planned. I had like 10 contents planned. We had tons of behind the scenes we were allowed to use. And our social media just blew up. I actually looked, I have a screenshot, not just locally. So people were watching it. They were not looking up open aerial yoga Huntington Beach. They were just looking up aerial yoga. And our local people caught us because I'm a digital marketing genius and we're the first one that comes up all the way from LA to San Diego. But it also helped a lot of aerial yoga studio owners all over the country because people were Googling aerial yoga and going to the closest one near them. So I actually went into the Google Analytics and was looking up how popular different keywords were, and aerial yoga on July 31st, it was the most Googled it had ever been. So it's in like percentages and it goes straight up to 100 on July 31st.
Wow.
So it was really cool to be able to measure that.
Wow.
And again, going back to like helping other people, like, yeah, maybe it put a couple other studios on and got a couple of people wandering in there. But what it really did was helped the people already in our community. And I'm really grateful for my success with digital marketing so that we were ready to receive the influx of students. Because if I didn't have the strategy I already had and I wasn't ready to receive it and I didn't have the systems to catch the leads that were coming in from that, then they could have just never found us. but I did. So I had it so we're the first thing that comes up on Google. You go to our website and it tells you exactly what we do and where we are and our schedule and how to book. And we have a fabulous intro offer and everything's beginner friendly. We can't wait to meet you. And we have classes 7 days a week. It was just easy. Like it was bound to happen. But if I didn't, or my website looked different or used not as good of a software, we just wouldn't have been able to catch those leads. So I'm really grateful that like if this happened last year, I would totally screwed it up and it wouldn't have mattered. We wouldn't have been able to catch all the new students, but we did. And then it was really fun to nurture our current community over it because all of our members that already go there were really excited to see it.
Yeah.
And we had the watch party. So we invited people that had never been to the studio before as an open house. And then we had our current members and even people that had lapsed, people that hadn't been into the studio in a while. It re-piqued their interest to get them to come back in. It was really fun to watch it with everyone.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for it. It was really fun.
So you've gone from a teacher to a CEO, right? And you've transitioned into basically a consultant to some degree, right? And have this teacher program. Do you ever carve out time to just play now?
In the hammocks?
Yeah.
I actually took all 3 classes on our Saturday block yesterday. And everyone was like, Taylor's in the hammock. And it is fun. If I'm craving aerial, I can just like drive over there and play on the hammock as much as I want. I will say your relationship to anything does change when it becomes work. So like the other day, I do a lot of hot yoga. Shout out to Radiant Hot Yoga, Newport Beach, favorite place. But I felt like I was craving something that wasn't hot yoga. And I took reformer Pilates and that was fun, but didn't really scratch the itch. And what I was craving was literally aerial yoga. And I was like, I realized that. Like, this is crazy. And we have a pose called a hip hang. And man, it's just, there's nothing better than being able to go and do a hip hang and do one freaking 13 times because I've got 13 hammocks. And I get to play in the studio as much as I want. And my teacher's classes are amazing and perfect because it's exactly the way I like class to be structured as a student for our signature class. So hell yeah, if I want to do some aerial yoga, I'll go take the class. It's great. So lots of time to play in the aerial yoga hammocks. And then again, hot yoga, reformer Pilates, and spin all day long. I love group fitness. Yes.
Wow.
I love group fitness.
Another question I have to ask you. If today someone came up to you and was like, hey, I really needed you to take this wonderful thing that you have and 10x it, what's the first step you're doing?
I have a certain city in mind. Like you're saying more studios or make my one studio bigger?
I think you've maximized your one studio.
So I am at that point. And there's some pockets of communities where a lot of people have asked me to open other locations at. But when I first opened, I did think, I was like, I'm going to have all these studios. But having a studio is really hard. And like a commercial lease and all these employees. And right now, if we do need a cover, I can physically go cover all the classes. And I do that. And I love doing it. It keeps me in the community. Because the thing is, if I'm on the schedule a lot, then I also sub. And then I am a little burnt out. But so we keep me on the schedule to a certain degree so then I can fill in and have it still feel really good. So I am not in my scaling era in the way that I want a bunch of studios right now. That could totally change. Next year I might be like, I'm going to open 10 more studios. But right now I love having one that's just doing so well. I love it. And I feel that I've seen a lot of people opening their second studio be a huge, like they wish they didn't do it if they could look back. I've seen the second studio, people think it's twice as much work. It can actually be more than 3 times the work because there's always like extra things. It's not even double. It's like there's like a new job because we have 2 studios. And if someone calls out, like, well, now we have 2 classes that need to be covered and I can't be in 2 places at once. So you need a huge team. So you need to do way more teacher trainings. But I'm the one that trains the teachers and it's 4 weekends in a row and it's 50 hours. So as far as scaling goes right now, I love just playing with how I can scale my current location. And I love owning a business in Huntington Beach. They just take such good care of us. It's insane. So I'm really interested in 10Xing Open Air Yoga Huntington Beach. And I think there's certain milestones I'd like to hit before I venture into other locations as well. But scaling for me right now looks like adding more classes to the schedule, potentially training more teachers if people are interested, while of course giving first dibs to our ladies that are already on the schedule. And again, helping other studio owners. That's something I'm really excited about right now. So I feel like instead of taking my energy and making 10 open aerials, like what if I helped 100 studio owners open their dream studios, and not aerial necessarily. It could be yoga, Pilates, spin. It's all the same business model, but that's something that feels more natural and intuitive to me right now. But again, that could totally change.
I actually have a business proposal for you, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But if someone's feeling too broke or not ready to start today, what's something you would tell them?
You gotta find someone who's already doing what you want to do and follow them. And even if they're not, so you could go follow someone that's like actively sharing information that is, trying to sell you something.
Right.
Or you could just, like, I had a really good relationship with the owner of my studio even before she knew I wanted to go do my own thing. And just having relationships with people that are already doing what you're doing is really important. But there's got to be someone out there for everyone. Like, whatever, like, I have a girlfriend from high school that is always saying she wants to open a coffee shop. She's been a barista for a decade. And she's like, I have a concept that's going to do amazing if I find the right place. And I'm like, then find someone who owns a coffee shop and either like trade value for time or just naturally become friends with them because you have similar interests and pick up on what they're doing or work for them. I wish I was a manager at a studio before I opened mine. I was extremely involved at Flight Room before I opened my studio, but I was not a manager. Gotcha. And wow, that would have helped a lot. So yeah, like if you want to open a coffee shop, be a manager at a coffee shop. Like be in management. You're managing the people, you're managing the inventory, figuring out what the labor is, like when people need to go home early. Like those are things that sound like really shitty when you're an employee, but then when you're an owner, you're like, no, like this stuff really needs to happen.
Yeah.
But that would be if you are broke, which especially this time of like where we're at with everything in the world, like that's extremely valid. I would also say do not quit your day job to start a business. I
feel like you would say do it.
No, I was interpreting for a long time. And so there's a saying called to burn your boat.
Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, I'm not a boat burner. I think if you're like, oh, I'm so broke, how am I going to open business? Like, yeah, you should probably have a job that will like pay your rent and health insurance while you build this business, especially because the beginning can be so like the very beginning of it is a lot of just like paperworky stuff. And it should, and every business model is different, but at least for what I did, I definitely would not have wished that on anyone to be like, oh, I'm just going to open a business and hope it works. Because a lot of businesses either they're just not month to month profitable in the beginning, or you at least have to finance so much of it to where you don't end up being at a net positive for a really long time. So I would just never want anyone that I care about to be in that situation where they don't have an income. And of course, if your business is doing well, that's an income stream. But yeah, if you're broke and trying to start out and you feel like you have no resources, the internet's free. We have ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is free. And then the premium one's only $20 to have all the information in the world.
Right.
ChatGPT. You won't catch me copying and pasting. There will be no M dashes in any of my content. Yeah. But I talk to ChatGPT all day.
Yes.
And you can.
Same.
Yeah. Like there's just, it's free. It's free information for all the info. So every industry is different, right? But you should definitely be able to get a really strong start and find a mentor.
Is there anything exciting that's up and coming for you that you're excited about?
I just hired our first front desk sales role outside of teaching. And that's been huge. She's actually like on her own by herself for her first time right now, which is really exciting. And it's already made such a difference in student retention. So I'm really excited because I have no problem getting people in the door. Like other studio owners are constantly asking me like, how do you get so many new students? And our amount of first visits is really high. And again, like ads, I do extremely well at. A lot of people use ads and they don't get people in the door, but like we get people in the door. So it makes me feel good knowing that I now have a place to send these leads where I know they'll be very well taken care of and more likely to have that much better of an experience and join our community long term. But before it felt like a bucket with a hole in the bottom of it. Like I get all these leads, but because our classes are primarily weekday evenings and weekend mornings, I prefer to work the inverse of that, which is like banker's hours.
Yeah.
I'm not going to work all day and then go to the studio till 9 at night, right?
Yeah.
Or at least not anymore. I've been doing that for a long time. So I feel really good knowing that it's being done without me. And that was a really big step is learning to delegate And I'm not a micromanager either. So delegating always feels scary until I do it. And then I do it and I'm like, oh, this is so nice. I'm almost too hands off. I'm like, hey, log into our Canva and do XYZ today. And I'll just make sure it's done tomorrow. And if it looks good, I'm like, I don't even ask them about it. And same with everything else at the studio. Like, hey, everything looks good. I got no complaints.
One question I will ask you about that is like, let's say, for example, I've been working for myself and now I have to hire someone on the front desk. Just because my nature in finance, I'm like, all right, Tim, if you're going to hire someone, what are they going to pay them? All right, 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, 40,000. I'm like, whatever that amount is, that's going to eat into your profits.
Yeah, it's paying them instead of paying myself.
Right, sure. Right. So then how do you justify that?
So it's a sales role, and that's something that a lot of yoga studios do pick up bad habits from. So for example, I've never worked at a studio that had a front desk all the time. Like I've had some employment where there was a desk, but someone wasn't there often.
Right.
And then all the way to some businesses that just literally had no desk at all, like me, up until last year. And it's a sales role. So it should pay for itself and you should be able to measure that. So I, again, with all the consultants, I've had so much help learning from, we have exact numbers. So we know that about 60% of people that come in on a drop-in for their first class should have a good enough experience and have a sales call or a sales conversation with the front desk to ask like, hey, do you want to take more classes with us? Yeah, that was really fun. Oh, cool. Well, we have a 21-day intro offer. So 60% of people should go from a drop-in to an intro offer in our area. It can be higher in other areas, but we're by the beach, and some people only want to do aerial once as like a bucket list. There's a whole lot of variables. And then about 30% is what we shoot for from people who go from the intro offer to the membership. So those are numbers that I can track. And then I also know all the numbers in the whole studio for anything because I'm really good with numbers and spreadsheets. I know how many leads I need to get to where a 30% or a 60% conversion from drop into intro and a 30% conversion from intro to membership will pay for the payroll. And the front desk knows what those numbers are.
Oh, wow.
So
I love that you're geeking out on this.
I love it. But most yoga studios, they either don't have desk or their front desk person is like, they call it karma yogi, where it's like an unpaid position, which is illegal, by the way. Entrepreneurial pays people wages and everyone's W-2 and not illegal at all. So having someone at the front desk who's not getting paid, they're not going to do their job in the same way.
Yeah.
So we want someone who's motivated and who loves the vision of the studio and is already part of the community and like genuinely. And in what we do, like we call it sales by definition, but it's already sold. Like people, we're solving their problem and we're giving an experience you cannot get somewhere else.
Nope.
And everyone adores their classes. So it's not really selling it to, it's like being the one to be like, hey, you want to come back? Yeah. Would you help me sign up for my next class? That's all it is. We're not trying to get someone to sign up for something they weren't already excited to sign up for, but it's the customer service aspect of doing it for them while they're, after you go upside down, you come up and you're euphoric, like you just got runner's high. And that's when we're like, you're going to come back, right? And then when people get memberships, they come more often, they stick to their routine, they achieve the goals they want and get the results that they came in here for.
Right.
So we're really doing them a service by just making sure that if they'd like to continue, that they do continue.
Last two questions I have for you, or last two comments. When me and my wife talk about starting certain business and ventures and some of the things that she wants to start, never occurs to her that like being a woman might have a harder time for her. And then because we don't think about it, because she works at this high-end architectural firm, and it's never occurred. But when we interview other people, it seems to be some hindrance. Have you ever experienced that? And if someone has experienced that, what advice would you give them?
I've always been in pretty female-dominated fields, interpreting and yoga-wise, very female-focused. I do remember when I was in the music industry, I applied for a job as a roadie for the specific tour. And they emailed me back and told me, they said, this job is only for men, which is hilarious because that's illegal. And I didn't know that when I was a teenager. I'm like, I probably could have cashed a check on that. I wonder if I can find that email. But in that industry, I did feel it was very male dominated, and people, I'm very young, I'm blonde. I could definitely come off as dumb as a bag of rocks, 100%, like on top of being a girl. So I feel like sometimes people do not take me seriously.
Okay.
And that's their loss for sure. But this day and age, women should definitely be able to go to have all the same opportunities as guys, or at least trying to go in with that mindset as much as we possibly can. But you can't control if someone that's interviewing you is biased. I mean, if the person at the other end of the interview table is just already sold on not hiring a girl, then it's just, it wouldn't happen, unfortunately.
Interesting. The last thing I have to say. So one of the things we talked about is you having kids in the studio.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We love kids.
And I was telling my wife, and I'm like, hey, you know what would be a great business idea? And feel free to steal this at any time, right? If you opened up a specific studio for kids next to a coffee shop, which allows people to like do their work done and maybe have like let's say like a window to watch their kids do yoga while they're getting their work done. That would be an amazing.
That would be. And I've seen similar business models, maybe not specifically aerial yoga, but there are a lot of open play gyms with Wi-Fi where parents can keep like just a big enough eye on their kid, but it's also like soundproof so they could work, take some calls. That would be awesome. I would love even a studio with 2 rooms. So one could be just for the kiddos so that we could maybe let the parents have more room to hang out during class or have a bigger waiting area for the parents. Or like you're saying, like a lot of gymnastics studios have like that window.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. And I know parents often ask if our studio is already set up like that, which it's not. But that's great. I think you and your wife should totally open that business. And then you guys could just work from your own business and let your kids play in the thing.
Right. If someone is trying to find you, right, whether that be social media, your social media handles, /website, / any of those things, could you tell the camera where they could find your business and so forth?
Well, I always like to send people to our website first, openaerialyoga.com. You're going to have all the information you'll need there about all of our classes. And social media-wise, Instagram is a great place to get a hold of me. I'm very responsive to our DMs as well, which is open.aerial.
Thank you. And thank you for being here with me.
Thank
I
you.
Really
I'm so
appreciate
excited. I love being here with you guys.
This is the first time I had someone famous here
Hi.
from Real Housewives.
I know my bodyguards are outside.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys always being with us. You guys get to see all different types of businesses. So I hope, again, this serves as a blueprint. And as usual, we're on the outro. Thank you.